Hi, my name's Kelly Bowker. Welcome to my channel, Present Moment Magic. Today, I am going to talk to you about something that is going on in my life recently. It is the middle of October of 2025, and there has been a lot going on cosmically. That sounds kind of funny, but when I'm feeling out of whack, I often will go online to YouTube and go to people like Pam Gregory, who is an absolute expert in all things cosmic. And they are talking about how we are definitely in a pattern with all the stars and the planets that is bringing in and bringing through a tremendous amount of energy now. And I'm feeling the effect of it. And I just wanted to share some things that I'm doing that's helping me that I thought, might be of a help to you. I want to talk first about sound. Using vibration, the vibration of a singing bowl, the vibration of a drum, an instrument of any kind, really, but even just the sound of your own tone, your own sound that you can make a deep hum in your chest. When we do these tones, the guides have told me that they are a tool that can be used to move your intention. You set your intention. Maybe it's an intention of I'm feeling out of whack and I want to bring my vibration into coherence. I want to come back to center. I want to feel myself in balance. You set your intention, and then you can do two things with these sounds. You can tone inward and you can tone outward. So if I was feeling out of whack, which I was earlier and I did this, that's what made me think to do this video. You I went outside and laid my hands on some trees. If you can do that, if you're blessed to be able to do that, that's great. But if not, even just one breath, an intentional breath in my mind, I'm reaching to the heart of the Creator, I'm reaching to the heart of Mother Earth, and then tone into your own body. Um, do that just a couple of times, particularly if something has hit you and you're out of whack quick, like somebody's come at you or something. If you can go into the bathroom or get away from people for a minute and do that kind of toning or humming, it is very, very effective. I really encourage you to give it a try. Another thing that I do is I'm really working to try to understand my thoughts, to understand the whole connection of my humanity, my thoughts, my emotion, and my physical body. So when I get a thought, and maybe it's a thought about one of my children, and it triggers worry inside of me, the first thing I do is I meet that worry. I feel the feeling in my body. I know I've got a hit. I call that, it's a charge. The thought carried a charge, and I feel it in my body. So the first thing I do is I go, okay, what am I feeling? When I ask that question, I am moving myself, I'm connecting myself actually to my higher self, and I'm moving myself into the witness perspective or the observer. And if you're familiar with that double slit experiment, Joe Dispenza talks about it. It talks about how the particles, when they are being observed, change. So this is kind of the scientific underpinning of how this works to dissolve and transmute energy. So you have a thought of worry. The old Kelly would have been like, now, Kelly, you don't need to worry about that. Let's think a happy thought. Let's raise our vibration. Let's let it go. Let's let it go. So what I know is that thought is like an arrow coming at me in my energy field. And when I put my hand up and I stop it the way I have for so many years of my life, doing what I thought was the right thing, the positive self-talk, trying to raise my vibration, and it did to a point, because what it did is it worked in the humanness. It worked for my egoic mind. It helped me to feel better on a human level. That's all true. However, that energy of whatever that was it stayed in my energy field. It not only stayed in my energy field, but it is attractive. We know this. We've learned that thought forms are energy and that they are energetic. They have a pull. They have a magnetized. There, I guess is the word. They pull other frequencies that match to it. So then you get another little bit of something on a different day and you talk yourself out of it, and another one on another day and you talk yourself out of it. Pretty soon you've got all this energy in your field, and then one more little thing happens and it's the straw that breaks the camel's back and you blow up. And you're in your mind thinking, why did I get so upset over that one little thing? And the people who love you are around you saying, why did they get so upset over that one little thing? It is the collective adding up of the energy in your field because you're not processing it. You are thinking that you're being good. You're thinking that you're trying to keep your frequency high because we've been taught wrongly that if we express an emotion like anger or grief, that we're going to draw more of that to us. And I'm here to tell you in no uncertain terms that the only emotions that are going to bring to it in a negative way are the emotions that are not expressed. We were given emotions by our Creator. Why would we be given emotions if we were not supposed to feel? We're supposed to feel it all. There is no more judgment around anger than there is joy. There's no judgment. It's only a feeling. And when we feel our feelings from the perspective of knowing our sovereignty, knowing that we are connected to our higher self, holding our humanity, holding that which is Kelly Colleen, whoever you are, say your own name, holding yourself in love, holding yourself in respect, in nurturing while you feel upset, while you feel angry. It's your tone that never leaves. It's the divinity that is within you. That divinity is there holding your true frequency while your humanity expresses anger, grief, joy, happiness, whatever it is. Our tone, what we are invited to strive for is to be aware of our tone meaning our base frequency. That frequency can be present and holding you through all the ups and downs of your human experience. This is what we were meant to be doing. This is the game that we came to Earth to play. I really can't stress this enough, but we have been kind of tricked. We have bought into viral beliefs, lies that have kept us confused so that we would not be able to step fully into our power. How do you step fully into your power? You are so skilled at processing all of the emotions as they come that, for one thing, they probably aren't going to get real big very often. That's one of the things that I've experienced. And the other thing is that your frequency is so clean and so clear that you then have access to all of the aspects of your higher self. Grace, faith, trust, clarity, all of those angelic qualities that are part of our higher self that is within each of us all the time. We don't have to reach to our higher self. Our higher self is right within us all the time, waiting for us to merge our humanity. But we keep ourselves so distracted thinking that we've got to rise above being human. I'm not a good spiritual woman if I get angry at somebody. And my guides have taught me clearly over and over and over again, and it has been a journey to accept that it is not wrong to be angry. When I was a little girl, it breaks my heart to think about it, but I went to Sunday school and I was taught that even my bad thoughts, if I had a grumpy thought, I was making Jesus cry. And I loved Jesus and still do with my whole heart. And the thought that I was making him cry because I'd think something grumpy about somebody once in a while, I was filled with guilt. And I came into adulthood feeling guilty for every feeling that I had. If I got mad at someone, I felt guilty about it. God forbid that any feelings of hate, if somebody were to do something that brought a feeling of hate into my heart, I'm like, oh my goodness, I just felt so racked with guilt. It was amazing. And what I have learned, what they have absolutely taught me, is that these are all experiences. Experiences that we can have as our divine selves, our sovereign selves, in a human form in the Earth School, and we're gathering data. We're gathering data on what it feels like when somebody is so hateful to you and you have all of those emotions towards them. That is data for the oversoul, just like the experience of meditating by a lake and feeling the love and the connection to Mother Earth. That's another experience. It's simply an experience. We are gathering data to expand the whole. That's why we came forward. That is why we decided to come and be human. So I want to go back again to talk about, I've heard many times, my guides have even said it to me over and over again, when I've said, how do I process these negative feelings? I don't want them hanging around in my energy field. And they would say, bring it up to the light of day. Bring it up and look at it. And I was kind of like, but there's got to be more to it than that. Well, this goes back to that double slit experiment. When I learned from an energy and scientific standpoint that the minute you cast your eyes, metaphorically, onto the emotion, when you say, what are you feeling to yourself? The minute you do that and you shift into that observer role, that arrow that is rage, that is whatever it is, begins to soften, begins to dissolve. And then you might say to yourself, where do I feel this in my body? And you go into your beautiful physical body and you kind of scan and you're like, oh, okay, I feel a knot right here in my chest. My hands are clenched. I can feel it in my jaw. I feel really, really angry. And so you just hold yourself in love. Your higher self is right within you, and you can hear the voice in your mind saying, you're doing fine. Feel what you need to feel, sweetheart. What are you feeling? I'm angry. Okay, feel angry. But I'm really, really angry. It's okay to be really angry. Let yourself be angry. And what happens is that will come like a wave and it will crest. It comes up and then it goes down. For probably the last 2 years, when my guides were trying to teach me about emotions and emotional intelligence and all of these kinds of things, they would use the example of a 2-year-old having a temper tantrum. They said that when a 2-year-old gets all wound up without any of the crap, any of the programming that goes into a little, our minds as adults, they simply get mad and they kick and they thrash and they scream and they spit and they bite. They do all the good stuff. And then the mother rocks and loves and just tells them, no, we're not going to bite. We're not allowed to act on these feelings, but we certainly gets to feel them. And you rock and you love and you rock and you love. And then that little body who's kicking and going all of a sudden starts to soften. It just softens. And then pretty soon you give them a kiss on top of the head and they get down and they go back to playing. And it's over. They're not carrying it with them. They're not embedding it in their little psyches. It is simply emotion passing through. And we can do the same thing. Be the observer. Be the observer. What am I feeling right now? Sometimes when I ask myself that, because I'm highly sensitive, I'll get a wave in my body and I'm like, okay, I'm feeling a little off. And I'll say, well, what are you feeling? And I'll breathe into it and I'll scan my body and I'm like, I really don't know what I'm feeling. I'm not sure. I just feel a little off. Then I hold myself and I say, okay, you're feeling off. It's okay. Because what I know is that particularly in times of energy upheaval like our world is in right now, that we can be feeling things that are not even ours. They're not our lifetime. They might be our ancestors. They might be from the planet. They might be from our womanhood, our manhood. All kinds of things come, energy that is needing to be transmuted. And so when you feel even and identify it as offness, then you simply breathe. And I want to share a particular breathing technique. You breathe in, you breathe it in, and then you hold it. You hold it just for a couple seconds, and then you breathe it out. When you breathe it in, I picture I'm breathing in whatever it is that's feeling off. I don't know what it is. I don't have to know what it is, but I'm breathing it in, and I'm holding it, and I'm looking at it. I'm looking at how my body is feeling while I'm holding my breath, and then, whew, and I let it out. And I do that until when I scan, I feel a shift. I feel a shift in my body. And then it's like, okay, I feel better. I feel that release from whatever it was that was cycling through my energy field. And this is powerful. This is powerful. I want to be the master of my thinking, the master of my emotions. I want to be the master of my humanity in that I understand, I hold space for myself being human. I love myself being human. I love the egoic mind. I love my emotional body. I love my physical body. This is the journey that my guides have brought me on. And so when I have a thought comes, it gives me a hit. The hit is the energy. I process the energy and I use my will because a lot of our thought is habit. It is simply habit. Oh, I'm so worried about my son. I'm so worried this and that's going to happen about my grandchildren. I'm so worried. It's all pretend. It is all pretend. My guides gave me this a long time ago. They said that we use our imaginations for bad when we are worried that the worst thing is going to happen to our family members or our husband or wife or whatever. We are using our imagination. If your mind is spinning out, if you can't get a control of your mind, I would invite you to YouTube and watch Puppies and Kitties or a comedian. I would invite you to use your own imagination. We've talked about this before. Use your imagination. I love to sink into my mind and play with my unicorns where I get on. My unicorns have wings and they fly me up around the stars and it's fun and I laugh and it's awesome. And I use my senses because I'm using my humanity. So I use my physical body. I think of what would the air feel like on my cheeks if I were riding my unicorn? When I'm going into the field to get to my unicorn, what does the grass smell like? What does the sun feel like? There's a stream where my unicorns live. I have a whole fantasy going on about my unicorns. Sparkles is my favorite. She's beautiful. She's got babies and a husband. It's so cool. And I just will go and I'll pat the babies as they romp around. This is fantasy, yes, but it is me taking control of my mind when my mind was controlling me. And it also raises my frequency. I don't think about those frolicking little baby ponies, baby unicorns very, very much before I start thinking. And I also kind of think how silly and funny this is that I'm adding every time I go into this space, I add a new dimension. I like that word dimension. I add a new dimension to it of color, of smells, and I use my body, I use my emotions, and I use my mind to help me with the pictures to take control of my frequency. Because I know the most important thing that I can do in this lifetime that is going to result in the most happiness, the most joy, the most abundance is to keep my frequency high, to feel that beautiful, joyful frequency. But I can't hold anger out here with white knuckles and expect that this is a true vibrational offering to the universe. It doesn't work that way. I think a lot of us who have been on the journey with the law of attraction now have learned that yes, is there some truth to the law of attraction? There's a lot of truth to the law of attraction, but there are some things that are not true as well. And the shame that people feel, the guilt that people feel because they're creating this awful life is something that is simply keeping us filled with negative energies that are just floating around. And guess what the negative energies do? The negative energy feeds the false matrix and keeps us in this 3D world. When we learn to be the master of our own humanity, merging our humanity and our divinity together, living a life as a divine being, understanding that I am a fractal of source energy is within this body. I don't have to reach for God. God is within. God is within me. The Holy Spirit lives within me. And when I navigate this world from the perspective of my divine sovereign self, allowing my human self to feel, to cry, to experience, to revel, to frolic, to dance, to hug, to grit my teeth and stomp my feet. All of it. It's all experience. It is all experience. So I want to recap really quickly again. that when we get that arrow of energy, meaning we get a charge, somebody says something to us, we watch something on TV, whatever it is, gives us a charge, a hit, an energetic hit in our beautiful physical body that's like an antenna letting us know what's going on. That's the first thing that we know. Oh my goodness, I got a hit. Ask yourself with love, ask yourself with kindness, what are you feeling? Tell me what you are feeling right now. And then sink into it. Try to identify it. Maybe it's going to be, I'm really angry right now. Really, really angry. Okay, feel anger. Don't go into the story. Don't go into, I'm going to do a different video on the story and how not to get caught in the loop of the story, but also the use of the story, because the story is important until it's not. But don't go into the story. Simply feel. Feel it in your body. Scan your body. Where do you feel it? Is it in your legs? Feel it all through your body. Do some nice breaths while you're feeling it. And then when you can ask your body, are we done? And I usually get that big sigh. My body lets me know that it's processed. Start paying attention to your breathing. You get angry, your breath starts coming short and hard. And then when you have brought yourself back into that beautiful coherence, you have brought energy into your field and you have brought it into coherence. This is alchemy. This is transmuting energy. This is what we want to know so we can walk in the world and not be affected by everybody's stuff. You walk into that room, something's going on, you feel it. What's happening inside you, Kelly? I don't know, I think something's up in here. Okay, so what's it feel like? The minute I do that, it starts to unravel. They can have their conflict over here. I can process that energy. And just because you have a strong physical response to an interaction, even maybe you've held your tone, you have held your boundaries, but inside you feel this swirling of energy, and you're almost like you want to be shaking. But yet you held your line, you held your boundary, you behaved exactly the way you wanted to. But now when the interaction is done, you're like, oh my God, and you got all this energy in your body. Know that that is just residual energy of somebody else's frequency being different than yours, their energy coming into your field, and it causes all that disruption. That's when you do the in-breath, pause, out. Just letting it settle. Another thing I do is I wiggle. I wiggle and I shake. I shake, shake, shake. Another thing I do is I clench and relax. Clench and relax. This is somatic. It is your body. Do the things to help your body just come back to being just your body. It's just energy. Energy has a frequency. All energy does. When your energy has been invaded by an energy of something other than the beautiful, wonderful tone that you are, you feel it. But now we know how to alchemize it. So please put in questions in the comments. I would love to respond to some wonderful questions from all of you. This is hard. I know it's hard to be human. It is really hard to be human, but I would love to help you on your journey. So if you'd like to be part of my tribe, email me at kellybowker7@gmail.com and I'll add you to my tribe, and I do Zoom meetings quite regularly. Have a wonderful day. Blessings on your journey, everyone.